That test got over in some real quick time, man. Just over 2 days. Shocking. By the way, Jimmy Anderson, the GOAT, has finally retired after a 21-year long illustrious career, picking up his 704th wicket this morning. But no, the ones making the headlines, it's not Jimmy Anderson. It's those two young lads from Surrey making their debut in this match, Gus Atkinson and Jamie Smith. So the first test between England and West Indies is over, and on this occasion, we're back for another podcast. And I would like to invite two of my guests today, Subhradeep and Abhishek. And so my first question to Abhishek would be: West Indies yet another terrible batting performance. To be honest, after that win in Australia, many people hoped that they would put up a much better display this time in England. But I mean, that was a shocker of a batting display, and this has been the norm of West Indies Test cricket over the past couple of years. So, your view of West Indies batting display?
Yeah, as you mentioned, that it's not up to the standard of Test cricket is played nowadays. I see the biggest problem in West Indies is now the pitches because if you see at home series, they play really well. Like they repeat England two times when England went there. Pakistan they beat once. So the top teams they're beating and they're scoring hundreds and 200s in their home tracks, which are flat and now not much bowling friendly. But they're exposed once they go to the overseas conditions like Australia. Also, if you're talking about, they just managed because of a brilliant spell by Shamar Joseph. Other than that, none of the batters could even score much runs, apart from one or two batting individual batting performances. South Africa they lost, they were exposed in those bouncy tracks. Australia, not England. England, I could still feel that some people are making their debut, and it will be difficult for them to adjust to these conditions. But see, there you also have some experienced players like Brathwaite. He's close to around
Yes,
5,000 test
right,
runs,
Bradford.
and he is the captain of West Indies. And it is not the first time he's playing in England. It is his third to fourth tour. And Jason Holder, who has a double century to his name, that too in West Indies. But these guys should step up. I mean, it's high time they should step up and
Yeah,
make the West Indies batting strong.
I mean, if we check the stats also, we can see that, I mean, since 2022, most of the batters, apart from maybe Brathwaite, are having a pretty poor average, and that is, I mean, really concerning for from a West Indies point of view. I think it's high time they need to address
Yes,
their batting issues if they want to progress further in this format of the game. So, I mean, our next point would be that, I mean, what can I say? What a debut, Gus Atkinson, fourth best figures ever for any bowler in Test cricket. I mean, he had one stunning debut. So I would like to move to Shubhadeep and ask his views on this debut from the Surrey lad.
Well, you have to remember one thing that the week was built up on Jimmy Anderson, the reception, or all the kind of things because it's his final test. So
Yes,
Atkinson didn't have the kind of the spotlight at that moment. So on day we always hope not to get so much attention and exactly get the platform. And what happened is actually he came as a number third bowler for the England innings in the first innings, and he bowled with pace. The first over was of 90 mile per hour, almost all the deliveries, and these are really tough conditions. Australia's batting in the first innings was under kind of a grey sky, so chilly morning at Lords. Never easy. It's never easy when you are batting at Lords. No matter whether it's 60 not out or 70 not out, you always kind of feel kind of tentative with the ball, the bat. It doesn't really feel in at any moment of time in the innings. And there is the slope, and he used the slope quite beautifully. You have to also remember that Atkinson is not such a experienced kind of a bowler in FC cricket. Just 20 odd matches for Surrey. Just
yes,
had one 5 wicket haul before this test match. That's quite inexperienced, to be honest. Having said all the bowlers that have played for England in the last quite a few times, quite a few years to come, they always come to the test arena with 50, 60 test matches under their belt. Now, for a lad to come and a decision to skip IPL was a great one job. You have to manage your body. He decided not to play the 2020 leagues rather than focusing on the first class, playing for Surrey, playing at the Carrington Oval. Playing for Cunnington Oval means he knows how to use the ball because it's a flat pitch. South London is absolutely flat pitch. He has to kind of work hard for the wicket, and he used the slope at Lords so beautifully. There was something that have to down the hill, have to use the in swingers beautifully. Some of the balls up the slope, he has to use it beautifully, and he did it. And he did it under Jimmy Anderson's shadow, to be honest. But he actually showed the pace, as I mentioned. It's so tough for to face the pace, and he will be great for an Ashes tour. As Ben Stokes has obviously given his planning for next Australia trip,
Yeah,
especially
I
on the
think he would be one of England's prime candidates, considering that all important Ashes 18 months later.
absolutely, especially on those pitches in Brisbane and Perth especially. But it has to. One thing I hope England keep an eye on his that obviously didn't bowl much in the first innings. There's 12 overs for the whole day, and then obviously England batted for quite a lot of time. England are playing with the aggressive brand of cricket, baseball, and I have to remember one thing: you have to going into Australia, you can't expect your bowler to bowl 20 overs, 22 overs in the first innings, and your batsman just smacking out, playing 70 odd overs. Your bowlers are not getting enough rest, and you're going to be asking them to bowl again 20 overs with the same intensity, same momentum. It's not happening. And Australia can be very tough. But at this moment, Atkinson was great. Now, the question stands when he moves to Trent Bridge will be again another flat pitch. It will be absolutely batting paradise. How does he shape himself for the next test matches? And there will be no Jimmy Anderson. Now the focus will be on him. The focus will be on Atkinson. How does he shape up
Yes,
himself for the? How does he make a comeback again in the series? How does he do well when the attention is on the? It's so tough when the attention is on you. When people are thinking you will do well, that becomes the pressure. And how does he handle the pressure? That will be the question. That is
yes.
something that will show how mentally strong he is. And hopefully next week will be really good for him.
And so, barring Gus Atkinson, there was another guy who made his debut, another lad from Surrey, Jamie Smith, and maybe he was the one England were looking for so long to audition for the wicketkeeper slot. I mean, they tried Johnny Bairstow, but with Bairstow's declining returns in the last 1 year or so, and Fox's inability to bat pretty well with the tail.
Yeah, I loved it. Whatever I saw him with the first innings
Yeah, I mean, he
batting.
was having pretty decent first class stats. I guess he was having some
Oh,
40 odd
to
average
have
before his debut.
70 odd matches, that's a great one thing. As a wicket keeper, that's a great stat. I remember Ricky Ponting once mentioned the question that I always have in my mind while before selecting a team is whether a wicket keeper has to be a braced batter to be a part of the team. Sangakkara is a great wicketkeeper batter, coming at number three. Gilchrist is a great, but Ricky Ponting always used to say wicket keeper is have to be a best in this primary job. That is wicket keeping. Wicket keeping against the pacer, against the spinners. If you bat, that's the bonus. It's not like the batsman. The best batsman has to be a wicket keeper. That's not how things work. Your wicket keeper who is especially great in his primary job, then you should select him. And I think Jamie City was a great. Whatever I saw him in his first innings, batting was excellent. The way he kind of phased the tail towards the end, batting with the tail is never an easy job. It
Yeah, he
was
batted
so
for a pretty long time with Shoaib Bashir. He shielded him nicely and then hit those odd boundaries in between.
and that couple of sixes over square leg, and that was thumb, and that shows the guy has power. That has got real power, and it's not easy, as I mentioned in my last chat while talking
Yeah,
about
he was
Atkinson.
another guy, I mean, who has a pretty good T20 game, but he decided to refrain from going into the leagues right now, and he focused more on on first class cricket in the last few months.
That's great. That's great for someone like me who is a real fan of Test cricket. That's a great news, and I love it. People should keep an eye on the Test cricket. Should value it. It's at the end of the day, it's the ultimate format for me as far as I know the game, and I love his keeping. Also, we have to remember one thing. Sometimes keeping becomes such a kind of what do you say? Something that generally goes under the radar. People don't really see how do you keeping. The moment you drop the catch, you're like, wow, you dropped the catch. All the tricks you are doing, all the squats you are making, they don't really put an eye on. So that becomes such a kind of a underrated job. Lords, slope, and that means the late swing. That's the most important thing. That's the most vital thing. That's the most scariest thing when you're keeping at Lords. Jimmy Anderson, the delivery Jimmy Anderson bowled to Joshua Da Silva, that ball was ledge swinger, and he realized it that that ball will have a ledge swing. He turned up the batter. The batter turned up for the playing the ball. It came out for a late swing and it went through. James Smith did well at that kind of moment was watching the ball for the late time for as long as you can. That's great for your batting, but that's also very
Yes.
important while you are doing the keeping. So he was great, I think.
Yeah, so our final point of discussion, I think, will be regarding the English skipper. I mean, for quite some time, he was having injury issues with his knee injuries and all those things, and he was unable to perform his role as an all-rounder, playing mostly as a batter. But now he's back to his bowling duties, and he did pretty well with the ball. And once Stokes is bowling well, the balance of this English side is on a different level. So, your views on that, Abhishek?
Yeah, as you correctly mentioned out, that when he's bowling, he's a man of golden wickets. He has that
Yes.
wicket-taking ability, and he has the capability to dismiss some big names. He takes always prized wickets. Be it Steve Smith from the last year's Ashes 2023, where he dismissed a couple of times. I remember, if you remember, this India versus England series where he didn't bowl much overs,
Yeah,
but the
he came for his first over, and then he got out
first ball
Rohit
Rohit
Sharma.
Sharma. So that was and who will forget his bowling spells against Virat Kohli? Like I will just give two instances in
Yeah, even
2018.
in the Ashes, I guess he just found a way to rattle the stumps of Usman Khawaja, who looked to be batting in a different
Exactly.
zone.
He can dismiss batters who are well set. Like Virat Kohli was batting on 50s. India were just 50 runs about to win. Anderson and Broad, two stalwarts of England cricket, tried their best to dismiss him, but they couldn't. And in comes
Yeah, it
Ben
was the
Stokes
first
and
test of
balls a
2018.
yes, and balls in swinger and Virat Kohli likes to flick it and he misses it and it's LBW.
Yes.
So and also in 2022, if you remember, like Virat Kohli was hitting Anderson and Broad for boundaries, and then he balls a pitch over delivery on that flat track which bounces up,
Yeah,
and
extra bounce, took the outside
exactly.
edge and straight to the keeper.
So he has always
Yeah.
his ability. So
Yeah, we have to remember one
to
thing. We
notch
always
big
talk about
scalps.
Yeah, we always talk about Ben Stokes, the innings he played at Headingley during the Ashes 2019. We also tend to forget the bowling spell he bowled at Headingley. Either side that, but 12 overs, 30 odd runs. He took 3 wickets, Labuschagne, Smith, and someone else, Mitchell Marsh maybe. That spell was such a vital thing. We always remember the batting he did. We forget that what he did with the ball in hand. He's such a, the moment he bowls, the balance of the side always gets settled for England. That's a great news for England. As a captain, his confidence will be high with the bat, with the ball, little bit short with the bat. But once it's as he has started bowling, the balance will be shorted for England.
Yes, I also believe that Ben Stokes as an all-rounder brings much more addition to the team than just a batter. And one more example from T20 also, like in last year's 2022 World Cup, where he dismissed Iftikhar Ahmed, who was having a great tournament that in Australia, and he dismissed him for zero. Otherwise, the score would have gone
Yes.
up to 150 or 160, which could have been difficult for England to chase on that MCG fast track against Shaheen Nasim and probably
Yes.
Harris Ruff. So always he
So,
has that ability to bring big scalps, and I would always
yeah, I
prefer
mean, he is
Ben
that
Stokes
kind of a player who
bowling.
England always looks out to in adverse situations. I mean, he can change a game from nowhere. So
Yes,
once
not
he has
with
started
bowling
bowling,
also.
it's definitely
Exactly.
great signs for England.
Yes.
So I think
So
that's enough for today. We'll be eagerly waiting for the next test between England and West Indies, where there will
and
be no
hope
Anderson and all the new players to look out for. So
and we
thanks to
hope for a
both my
fight back.
guests. Yes, definitely. Thanks to both my guests for spending time with me, and also to all my viewers for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel, and also press the bell icon for further updates. We'll be back shortly. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.